I urge you to pay attention to this one. By that I mean that I'm going to start a series of discussions about what we call 6 girl. That means 6 is at the top, 1 is at the bottom, but 6 girl is at the top. And I'll describe what that means and all of the implications about it, but it's a vast subject. I use these 3 to describe the relationship between 2 girl, which is about personal responsibility. And that must occur before the other 2 can materialize in a healthy way. So this 2 girl experience is the personal capacity to feel. That has many other skill sets around it, but that requires that one to occur first. Then it's connected into what we call 4 girl. This is the part that deals with your relationships to other people. This is the give and receive place of social dynamics, of change, transformation, receiving, and so on and so on. This is a vast subject, but it must be connected to the personal desire to feel. That's lifted into the personal desire to feel as reflected by the social dynamics of those around us. By that I mean our personal social self-image of emotional memory is revealed in the law of attraction of how people come to us. Everybody comes to us, individually or collectively, to bring the social reminder of the opportunity to feel what we have not yet felt. Hence the importance of 4 girl, because that gives us the opportunity to transmute, launder our feelings, give and receive, change, and a whole bunch of other things. And then the Northern Hemisphere, we just ended that month. We have now started the month of 6 girl. Now you should also recognize that this month is the last month in a sequence of months leading to the solstice in December. Now that solstice obviously occurs twice a year, so that in the Northern Hemisphere in June, the solstice now heralded the arrival of 6 women in a row. That means we're at the final conclusion of 6 women in a row. By that I mean the summer solstice beginning in the Northern Hemisphere is 1 girl, then 3 girl, then 5 girl. Those 3, 1, 3, and 5, they make up the summer months, leading into the beginning of a new pattern, which starts in September at the equinox. That same pattern in September is also the beginning of a cycle. I know that's a lot. Hang in there. The experience of 2 girl in September begins a sequence of a very special skill set. I urge you to recognize that this single skill set of a combination of these 3 is absolutely essential for your personal, emotional health, well-being, happiness into eternity. Feel, open your heart, divine. Now, what you do in that divine level has to do with how well you can receive divine help from above. On the middle level, it's how well do you receive help from others. The bottom level, how well do you really feel and feed yourself? This is personal responsibility, social dynamic sharing, and receiving from a higher level. Now, this sequence is also the sequence from sunset, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., where our transition out of the material world, out of the mental world, when we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, we actually leave in the 4-girl mode of opening the 6-girl mode, and we go into the spirit world. This also corresponds to the ability to be able to see stars, meaning at sunset in the evening, it's not dark enough to see anything. Then we go through what's sometimes called the void, or the nothing, or the dark, transmutation, all of this things that happens at 8 p.m. because everybody has to pass through this dark phase in order to see the higher gates. 6-girl. I know that's a lot, but this corresponds with the capacity to be able to earnestly receive on a divine level, which is obviously the most mysterious, and it requires the element of faith, that there is something that can be felt, acknowledged, realized. This is where the increments of my own personal desire to want to grow in feeling, opening my heart to other people to circulate it, and this one is the ability to be able to receive divine influence. That divine influence can be celestial or it's going to be spirits, but it's always going to be there. We're always being influenced by spirits. Ideally, those spirits assigned to us to give us guardianship, emotional development, and ideally, when you desire a celestial guide, you can receive a celestial guide. But that's a whole nother subject. So I'm urging you to see these three working simultaneously: to feel, to open the heart, to receive. It's all there. I'm using it in a linear sequence, but let me show you another graphic that may or may not help. This is a horizontal graphic designed to show the flow of time from the pristine origins of the soul's existence through the veil of individuality. This veil of individuality comes the existence of a single experience of one soul, where the opportunity to become personally responsible for the sincere desire to want to grow and feel. And there's a whole series of processes here: humility, truth, free will, all of the things that you want to have as an individual has to be felt. This individualization is the singularity that is associated with your individual soul. Then in the process of going through this, there is this time period where the laundering of oneself in the emotional, personal manifestations of one's own despair, loneliness, darkness, this is the transformational period associated with going to sleep. So when you go to sleep at night, you enter this and you come out here. Now this sequence from 6 p.m. to midnight corresponds to 2-girl, self, feeling, 4-girl, the ability to transmute, change, and grow, and the place that you're primarily going to change the most is you're going into the spirit world when you sleep. Most people are unaware of the fact that when they go to sleep, you're not in your body, you're gone. Most people go into the spirit world to act out their unfulfilled desires, but you can have a personal desire to want to do number 6. All that means is a personal desire to want to grow in the aspirations of whatever the authentic design is for your own soul. So you're going into the higher echelon of the spirit world, 6, to be able to receive what you need to be able to increase. I know that's a lot, but at least you're taking your feeling-oriented individuality, laundering it in the experience of social dynamics, which gives you the capacity to be able to receive it. Whew. Okay, so let me give you another example, because I know this is a lot, but hang in there. This is something of an earthly example in nature that corresponds to 6 girl. 6 girl is the beginning of the light. It's the beginning of the snow. It's the beginning of perfection. It's the beginning of purity. This is a correspondence where at the higher levels of consciousness, you can actually, almost like the ghostly forms, you can have contact to address and feel or be guided by the spirits around you. You can use whatever manifestation of theology that you want to use in your aspirations to ask for help. I mean, literally, you can pray to whomever it is that you currently feel is significant to help you be able to receive guidance in your journey of progress. That's the symbology of the pristine nature of snow. Now, this pattern also corresponds to the symbology of the pineal. That means it regulates the sleep cycle, and it is one of the primary places that utilizes anything to do with DMT, anything to do with psilocybin, anything to do with molecules that produce vision. Because 6 girl has to do with the visionary state of consciousness. It has to do with the ability to be able to see spirits. It has a lot to do. It corresponds to the skin, by the way. So one of the primary ways of being able to develop this is just to become aware of the skin. Because the skin of the soul is regulated by number 6. Because eventually that skin can be opened to receive divine love, to infuse one with a greater capacity to feel even more. Important subject. So just consider the nature of snow falling. If you've ever had an experience during the day to lift your face up and to feel snowflakes falling on your skin, what a divine inspiration is the falling of snowflakes. That's the divine presence materialized through the experience of silence, which is an attribute of snow, through purity, into the experience of innocence. Yes, 6 girl is the mother of innocence. And for me, the primary eye of the needle is that we can only enter the eye of the needle with the innocence of a child. Now, in the northern hemisphere, that innocence is supposed to culminate with the birth of the increase of light coming at the solstice. So on the solstice, there begins a journey of the increasing day length in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, well, it's a completely different experience. It's the opposite. So instead of doing one boy in December in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere is doing one girl. It's a different journey. But for those in the northern hemisphere, it begins 6 months of men. Not an easy thing to handle 6 months of men. Meaning it goes in the northern hemisphere, 1 boy, 3 boy, 5 boy through the winter. Then on the spring equinox, it's 2 boy, 4 boy, 6 boy. So you have 6 months in a row of men, followed by 6 months in a row of women. What a remarkable design and creation. Now, I'm still in awe of how that works. But mostly, I want you to pay attention to 6 girl. Because in my opinion, on the earth right now, 6 girl is open. Why? Because we've had a 5. And I know I use hieroglyphics of numbers. We've had a global experience for going on almost 2 years of a global, that to me is 5, awareness of something invisible. And right now it's been us versus them, us versus the virus. And this, so that nasty little virus is the problem on the, no, the virus is not the problem. The problem is what we do to produce the environment for the virus to manifest a physical problem inside of our vessel. For me, that's how we're treating each other and how we're treating nature, but that's a whole nother subject. But I'm saying that the timing of the global 5 leads to the timing of the 6. Now, why is that important? Because the opening of the upper gates is voluntary. Now, there are conditions where the upper gate opens involuntarily. If the upper gate opens involuntarily, it can be bipolar, it can be schizophrenia, it can be delusion, it's seeing things that don't exist. The whole function of vision, of seeing outer world, inner world, it's all about this time period. So I'm suggesting that you consider how that works. Let me just show you one more graphic on that. Here's one I like. It's snow with light, because that's what 6 girl is. It's snow with light. It's in one of the darkest months of the year, right? In the northern hemisphere, the 6 girl month, even in the southern hemisphere, the 6 girl month is the darkest month of the year. All that means is the day length is the shortest during that month. Now, during that month is the opportunity for the receiving of light. Now, I'm saying, I know this is a lot to gather in for a moment, but the opening of the pineal is immediately abundant. So I suggest, if you want to, you can begin to open the upper capacity to see, feel, and if you want, to hear the receiving of things. You may want to examine what your motive is for wanting to have contact with spirits or contact with the higher realms. You may want to examine your intention and your motive for going there. But I would even suggest to you that you just go there to feel the pristine dignity of the upper world. And whatever faith you might have to be as a small child in your innocence to receive it, because that gate is open. Very useful if you consider it. Let me give you another little picture here. Here is one, and it's just another example of it, of what does that feel like. Now, in this case, the falling of snow happens on an earthly level, but stars are also snow. I know that's hard to see it that way, but basically when we enter into the sleep state, we go into the spirit world, we go into the broader galaxy, or we go into the divine universe. So this ability to be able to go 2 girl, 4 girl, 6 girl is designed to elevate your capacity to be able to receive. Okay, I promise, just one more picture. Let me show you what the final result of 2 girl, 4 girl, 6 girl is intended to be. Weird, right? I'm using this as a manifestation of the diversity of beauty. Now, how does that relate to stars? Well, stars are just flowers blooming. The stars have different colors. You know that, right? They're not all white. They're all different colors, shades of colors. Now, the top of anything is the opening of the upper gates and the formation of flowers, a blue flower, the golden flower, the lotus, the whatever you want to call it, the upper canopy of one's capacity is color and flowers. It's fragrance. Weird, yeah? We started out at sunset being peace, singularity, and self. We moved to the time period of bedtime, 8 p.m., into this darkness of turbulation, of laundering, of metamorphosis, of becoming a caterpillar that has to become a liquid to become a butterfly. You know, all these things about the dark swan function and, you know, sleeping beauty functions and all of that, where you awaken into the Prince Charming of something really pretty. The upper gate. The upper gate is designed to be the completion of the journey, if you can call it complete, where we elevate from our personal feeling through the openness of the heart into the capacity to enter into the higher realms of consciousness. I'm saying that it's the season to plant flowers or to harvest them. You can try it for yourself. Just take some time. Feel the two-girl privacy of your own peace. Lift it up to your own heart to be able to be willing to transform whatever there may be in your personal, social, emotional, genetic memory that inhibits your capacity to give and receive love with another human being. That opens the six-girl capacity to be able to infuse you with an increase of the divine presence, which you can now continue to share with those around you. And when you share it with people around you, it's not arithmetic, it is exponential. And there are numbers on top of numbers that make it quite large. So a small group of people giving and receiving from their individual responsibility and receiving that from the sick, well, I just think there's an opportunity going on right now on Earth. And I know that we're faced with all of these authoritarian, bureaucratic people going to jab you, control you, manipulate you, steal your money, blind your children, cause death, cause suppression, yes, that's all true. Whether you believe it's politicians or it's aliens, it's all true. There are people around, situations around, entities around that just want to absorb and utilize and enslave you. Yes, that's true. But the way out is 2-girl, 4-girl, 6-girl. The way through it is actually together. I know that sounds weird. Personal responsibility joined together in the capacity of sharing it with each other multiplies the fraternal experience of building each other's consciousness through sharing. 6-girl gives us the lollipop of something sweeter. I gotta tell you, that sweetness is sweeter than any honey that you've ever tasted. Divine sweetness. Go and be a hummingbird with that flower. That's what 6-girl can do, is guide you to the right flower for you. Consider it. I'll see you later on this month because it's a good month to talk. See you soon.